development of submarines dates back to the 17th century, but the modern submarine, as we recognize it today, began to take shape in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The first practical submarines were developed primarily for military purposes, particularly for naval warfare. One of the earliest successful submarines was the USS Holland SS-1, commissioned by the United States Navy in 1900, designed by John Philip Holland. An Irish-American engineer, the USS Holland was the first submarine to be officially commissioned by any navy. Throughout the early 20th century, various nations continued to develop and improve submarine technology, leading to advancements in propulsion, hull design, and underwater warfare capabilities. Submarines played significant roles in both World War I and World War II, further driving advancements in their design and capabilities. Since then, submarines have continued to evolve, with ongoing developments in propulsion systems, stealth technology, and weaponry, making them increasingly capable and versatile assets for naval forces around the world. The first documented military submarine was the Turtle, built in the United States during the American Revolutionary War, designed by David Bushnell. The Turtle was a one-man submersible used in an attempted attack against a British warship in New York Harbor in 1776. However, the Turtle's attack was unsuccessful. While the Turtle is considered the first documented military submarine, it was not a fully practical or successful design. The first operational military submarine, meaning one that was actually commissioned and used by a navy, was the French submarine Plongeur, launched in 1863. The Plongeur was powered by a compressed air engine and was designed by the French naval officer and inventor, Narcisse Monturiol. However, due to its impracticality and accidents during testing, the Plongeur was never used in combat. The first practical and successful military submarine was the USS Holland SS-1, commissioned by the United States Navy in 1900. It was designed by John Philip Holland, an Irish-American engineer. The USS Holland is often considered the first modern submarine because it incorporated many features that became standard in later submarine designs. Modern submarines are equipped with a range of advanced weapons and technologies designed to enhance their stealth, survivability, and lethality. Here are some key aspects of modern submarine weaponry and technology. Missiles and torpedoes. Submarines are typically armed with a variety of missiles and torpedoes for both offensive and defensive purposes. These can include submarine-launched ballistic missiles, SLBMs, capable of delivering nuclear warheads, cruise missiles for striking land or surface targets, and heavyweight torpedoes for engaging enemy ships and submarines. Stealth technology. Submarines utilize advanced stealth technology to minimize their acoustic, magnetic, and radar signatures, making them difficult to detect by enemy sensors. This includes specialized hull designs, sound-dampening materials, and quiet propulsion systems. Sonar systems. Submarines are equipped with sophisticated sonar systems for detecting and tracking both surface vessels and other submarines. These systems may include passive sonar arrays for listening to underwater sounds without emitting detectable signals, and active sonar systems for emitting sound waves and analyzing their reflections. Periscope and mast systems. Modern submarines are equipped with periscopes and mast systems that allow them to observe surface activity and communicate while remaining submerged. These systems may include high-resolution cameras, infrared sensors, and electronic warfare capabilities. Nuclear propulsion. Many modern submarines are powered by nuclear reactors, which provide virtually unlimited range and endurance without the need to surface frequently for refueling. Nuclear propulsion also enables submarines to operate at higher speeds and depths than conventional diesel-electric submarines. Advanced command and control systems. Submarines are equipped with advanced command and control systems that enable them to communicate securely with naval command centers and coordinate operations with other friendly forces. These systems may include satellite communications, encrypted data links, and integrated battle management software. Countermeasure systems. Submarines are equipped with countermeasure systems designed to protect them from enemy attacks, including decoys, jammers, and anti-torpedo defense systems. These systems help to confuse and divert incoming threats, increasing the submarine's survivability in combat. As of my last update in January 2022, numerous countries around the world operate submarines. Here's a list of some countries with submarines and the approximate number of submarines they possess. United States. The United States Navy operates a fleet of nuclear-powered submarines, including ballistic missile submarines SSBNS armed with Trident missiles and attack submarines SSNS. The exact number of submarines in the U.S. Navy's fleet can vary due to retirements, new constructions, and refits, but it typically ranges between 50 to 70 submarines. Russia. The Russian Navy operates one of the largest fleets of submarines in the world, including ballistic missile submarines SSBNS, attack submarines SSNS, and cruise missile submarines SSGNS. The exact number of Russian submarines can also vary, but it is estimated to be around 60 to 70 submarines. China. The People's Liberation Army Navy plan has been rapidly expanding its submarine fleet in recent years. It operates both nuclear-powered and diesel-electric submarines, including ballistic missile submarines SSBNS and attack submarines SSNS. China's submarine fleet is estimated to consist of around 70 to 80 submarines. United Kingdom. The Royal Navy operates a fleet of nuclear-powered submarines, including ballistic missile submarines SSBNS armed with Trident missiles and attack submarines SSNS. The UK's submarine fleet typically consists of around 10 submarines. France. The French Navy operates a fleet of nuclear-powered submarines, including ballistic missile submarines SSBNS armed with M51 missiles and attack submarines SSNS. France's submarine fleet typically consists of around 10 to 15 submarines. India. The Indian Navy operates both nuclear-powered and diesel-electric submarines, including ballistic missile submarines SSBNS and attack submarines SSNS. India's submarine fleet is estimated to consist of around 15 to 20 submarines. Other countries. Several other countries, including Japan, South Korea, Germany, Australia, and Brazil, also operate submarines, though typically in smaller numbers compared to the major naval powers mentioned above. Please note that the numbers provided are approximate and may vary over time due to factors such as retirements, decommissioning, and new constructions. Additionally, submarine fleets are subject to modernization and expansion efforts by various countries, so the numbers mentioned here may change in the future. Submarines generate power for their propulsion and other onboard systems using different methods depending on their type. Nuclear power. Many modern submarines, particularly those operated by major naval powers like the United States, Russia, the United Kingdom, and France, are nuclear-powered. These submarines are equipped with nuclear reactors that generate heat through controlled nuclear fission reactions. While surfaced or snorkeling with a snorkel device that allows the diesel engines to draw in air while submerged, these submarines can run their diesel engines to charge batteries. When submerged, they rely entirely on battery power for propulsion, limiting their underwater endurance compared to nuclear-powered submarines. This heat is used to produce steam, which drives turbines connected to electric generators or directly drives the submarine's propulsion system through steam turbines. Nuclear-powered submarines have virtually unlimited underwater endurance and can operate without the need for frequent refueling. Diesel-electric power. Diesel-electric submarines use diesel engines to generate electricity, which is then used to power electric motors for propulsion. Air-independent propulsion (AIP). Some diesel-electric submarines are equipped with air-independent propulsion systems, which allow them to operate submerged for longer periods without the need to surface or snorkel. AIP systems typically involve using a different method, such as fuel cells or Stirling engines, to generate electricity for propulsion while submerged, enhancing the submarine's stealth and endurance compared to conventional diesel-electric submarines. Each of these power generation methods has its advantages and limitations, and the choice of propulsion system depends on factors such as the submarine's intended missions, operational requirements, and technological capabilities. Nuclear-powered submarines. Nuclear-powered submarines are typically the most expensive to build and operate due to their advanced technology, long-range capabilities, and nuclear propulsion systems. Ballistic missile submarines SSBNS can cost several billion US dollars each, with estimates ranging from $2 billion to $4 billion per submarine. Attack submarines SSNS are somewhat less expensive, but can still cost over $1 billion each. Diesel-electric submarines. Diesel-electric submarines are generally less expensive to build and operate compared to nuclear-powered submarines. Costs can vary widely depending on factors such as size, capabilities, and propulsion system. Smaller diesel-electric submarines may cost several $100 million each, while larger and more advanced models can cost over $1 billion. Submarines with air-independent propulsion (AIP). Submarines equipped with air-independent propulsion systems, which enhance their submerged endurance and stealth, may have higher upfront costs due to the additional technology involved. However, they can offer operational cost savings over the submarine's life cycle by reducing the need for surfacing or snorkeling to recharge batteries. Costs for AIP-equipped submarines can vary depending on their size and capabilities, but generally fall within the range of diesel-electric submarine costs. It's important to note that these cost estimates are approximate and can vary significantly depending on the specific requirements of each submarine program, including design specifications, construction methods, labor costs, and currency fluctuations. Additionally, the costs mentioned here are for the construction of the submarines themselves and do not include expenses such as research and development, training, infrastructure, or life cycle support. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share.